Most people think Yellowstone got its name from the bright yellow canyon walls, but that's not actually true. The real story is way older, way messier, and honestly one of the wildest name origins in any national park. And here's the crazy part. The tribes who gave us the original name had never even seen the canyon that you and I visit today. The real beginning. The earliest roots of the word Yellowstone come from the Minnetaree, also known as the Hidatsa. They used the phrase Mitsi Hidatsa, which French trappers translated into Roche Jaune, or yellow rock. But the Minnetaree lived hundreds of miles down the Missouri River. They weren't naming the canyon here in Wyoming. They didn't even know this canyon existed. The first written appearance. One of the first Europeans to write down the English version, Yellowstone, was mapmaker David Thompson in 1798. But even that wasn't the earliest reference. A year earlier, in 1797, a Welsh explorer named John Evans mapped a tributary on the Missouri and labeled it River Yellow Rock. Again, still nowhere near modern Yellowstone National Park. Why the historians got confused? For decades, people assumed the Minnetaree name referred to the Golden Canyon walls here. It's a great theory, but completely wrong. The Minnetaree lived more than 600 miles away. They didn't even have horses until around 1750. Even after that, the region was far outside their usual range. They had no first-hand knowledge of the canyon people think the park is named after. The Crow name is a better twist. Later, when the Crow Nation displaced the Shoshone along the middle Yellowstone, they didn't call it Yellowstone at all. They used the name Ichi-de-Karshashe, which translates roughly to Elk River. And honestly, that name makes sense. Elk used the Yellowstone corridor like a migration highway, moving from the high summer ranges to the winter valleys. The Crow name reflects what they actually saw on the land. Now, when Yellowstone finally arrives here, the name Yellowstone doesn't get firmly tied to this region until the fur trade era, which was huge. By the 1830s and 1840s, trappers, traders, and explorers were using the name more consistently. One account from the 1835 rendezvous mentions a trapper in Jackson Hole referring to Yellowstone Lake, hearing the name at one of the big rendezvous gatherings. These guys weren't formal historians. They weren't even learned. They were repeating whatever names were circulating through the trade networks. The name becomes official. By the 1860s and early 1870s, during the government surveys of the area, the name Yellowstone had become the standard. So when the United States created Yellowstone National Park as the world's first national park on March 1st, 1872, the name was already well established. Congress didn't invent it. They adopted a name that had traveled through indigenous languages, French trappers, fur trade slang, and decades of map making. There's one last strange twist though. There was even a town in Montana, originally called Riverside, that received so much misdelivered mail addressed to Yellowstone that they changed the town name to Yellowstone, Montana. And that only made things worse. In 1920, they finally fixed it by renaming the town West Yellowstone, and that's the name we still use today. But it doesn't make it less confusing. I have people on the tours all the time that still get confused by that. So no, Yellowstone didn't get its name from the canyon color. It came from the Minnetaree phrase, filtered through French trappers, mixed with Crow names, misinterpreted by early historians, and carried across fur trade networks, and eventually attached to the landscape long before it became America's first national park, or the world's first national park, that is. It's a name shaped by rivers, languages, and more than a century of retelling, and that's what makes it legendary. If you like stories like this, please follow along. I've got a whole series coming on the real stories behind Yellowstone place names, and I can't wait to share it with you. Have a great day.